last time the 4th of July happened on a weekend was nearly a decade ago, so we don't have a lot of data on what it's actually going to look like. If we look just across the street, the heat was so intense it melted these trash receptacles. There's debris all over the street. We're here on First and Union Street where a shooting occurred around 10:30 p.m. last night. As you can see, there's still a bit of a scene. There's a huge hole in the fence from where two teen girls rammed through and scuffs from their bodies. Kent police say the man was armed with a gun and a tank of gasoline, walking right through those doors and lighting several fires in his former place of employment. This week in Pioneer Square, a quadruple shooting left 3 dead and 1 in critical condition. Although no arrests have been made yet, Police Chief Sean Barnes says that keeping the streets safe is their top priority.
Enjoying the ribs?
Oh man, I have my mouth full. You know, I've talked about ribs on air before, and I love them so much. This barbecue sauce, sweet, tangy, goodness. Wow. They got the caramelization on top.
And you get
anything barbecue, I feel like is amazing. Has to fall off the bone though. My Chick Bad was featured in one of my favorite cheer teams routines, the Nicki Minajers, okay? It's homecoming weekend here at Gisa Field, which means the game day environment is absolutely electric. With the Cougs being 5-1 and the Rainbow Warriors being 2-4, the Cougs are expected to win the day. Welcome back to weather. This is Cassidy Collins. We're looking forward to a beautiful day this Thursday morning with sun in the skies. We're not touching below 40 degrees. Today, we're going to be seeing some wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour, so make sure you be careful and stay inside when those wind gusts are happening. You don't want to blow away. Just make sure you're aware of the weather. Be prepared for those wetter conditions. Pickleball, it's going to be a damp morning. You're going to be dodging those showers. Make sure the courts aren't too slick. Biking, it's going to be slick roads, so wear those waterproof layers. I don't want to see any viral videos of you biting it. If you're in those regions, the wind's going to be blowing, so make sure you have a hat or something to tie your hair back with. Here in the Beacon Hill neighborhood, following the 3rd fire in 24 hours, 2 of those being confirmed arson. You can see the house behind me is just torn to shreds with remains charred. It even reached the neighbor's shed. All of their belongings are strewn out onto the sidewalk. Joe Cummings was taking his usual walking path in the morning through the neighborhood and noticed the police and fire response.
Super scary. Super scary.
Neighbors gathered around the scorched skeleton of a Beacon Hill home, now at the center of a suspicious fire investigation. The blaze so intense, it reached the property of several homes nearby.
It's really concerning. That seems like it might be a trend.
A fiery trail is being left behind, and Seattle police are determined to douse these flames.
We do know that there is an arsonist in our midst.
While this specific fire is still under investigation, several other South Seattle fires have been ignited by arsonists. In 1 week alone, there has been 6 fire investigations. 4 of those were deliberate.
We have a good suspect description. We don't have a suspect identification, but all the officers in the South Precinct, they have a general idea of the type of person that they are looking for.
There were no accelerants found at the scene of the fire, but detectives aren't ruling it out. They're still determining what exactly caused this devastation.
I know arsonists have their methods. They have certain ways that they like to start fires. So if we see some of those connections, the fire investigators are going to get us that information. They're going to provide that to the detectives, and we're going to work that. We're going to work that into our investigation.
Seattle police and fire investigators are teaming up, looking for patterns and clues that could link these fires. They've been walking neighborhoods, searching for evidence and witnesses who might help connect the dots.
Maybe there's some doorbell cameras on 17th that might hopefully have captured somebody if it is an arsonist, because we don't want to have this happen again in the neighborhood.
Cassidy Collins, Fox 13 News.
Some kind of active shooter.
Chaos erupted inside the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center when several loud pops sent cheerleaders and parents scrambling to escape. Among them, Michelle Strom, a mother from Washington who had just been watching her daughter Anna Lise chase a national title.
But there were a lot of tears and freaking out, like, what's happening? It was really, really scary.
Many feared the worst, but there was no active shooter. The mayhem had started with a fight between 2 parents that sent metal poles flying on the ground, a fact families wouldn't learn until hours later.
Probably a couple of hours or so. And I mean, we're talking about hunkering down in the corner of a parking garage, telling the girls to be quiet because we just didn't know.
Strom says security was dangerously lacking with no bag checks and no clear bag policy, despite thousands of people packed inside.
My gosh, this is so huge. And the past year or so of comps, I've not really seen a lot of security. And I thought, okay, but maybe there'll be more security here. I don't know. There wasn't.
Strom isn't alone. Several parents took to social media to express the need for enhanced security. So this never happens again. Reporting from Dallas, Cassidy Collins, NBC5 Job Chat. Many students coming to WSU are experiencing freedom for the first time, which leads to experimenting.
I did like 13 lines last night, or sometimes she'd be like, oh, my heart hurts because I did so much cocaine, and it was definitely laced with Adderall.
This student, a former member of Greek life, remaining anonymous to protect her identity, has witnessed cocaine use from her closest friend to sorority sisters. She says it's common in Greek life.
Fraternities over sororities, definitely. I guess AGD, not as much as AFE, but there's KD potentially as much as AFE will, but I just don't know all the girls like that. I feel like it's easier in frats because you go to the frat, you don't go to the sorority.
I reached out to the houses mentioned for comment, but did not hear anything back. But one thing's for certain, they're not afraid to get caught. At Pullman Police Department, they're facing unique challenges that prevent them from doing things like before.
There was a Washington Supreme Court decision called the Blake decision, which essentially overturned Washington law regarding many of these hard drugs.
This ruling made simple possession no longer a crime, but a misdemeanor. It also requires police to prove that the person knowingly had drugs on them before arrest. And students who use these drugs, well, they know this.
I think it's the equivalent of a minor in possession of alcohol. She's not gonna stop doing it because she's scared of being caught. She would probably stop doing it if she was scared about her health and her heart, but she wasn't gonna stop doing it because she's scared the police are gonna come and get her. No. Yeah, I think that's kind of how people view alcohol, minors with alcohol and weed and vapes too. Is you're not gonna stop doing it because you're scared that someone's gonna come get you and take you to jail.
We know this drug is widely used, but how does it get to Pullman? This is 410, a prominent roadway that leads all the way to I-90 into Pullman. One dealer that agreed to meet with me says he simply just drives it in. This dealer is highly protective of his identity. If he's caught, he could face a minimum of 10 years in prison or an $100,000 fine. Our communications took place through Snapchat, and he answered my questions on a Google document. He used an AI assistant's voice to remain fully anonymous.
People either go get it themselves by simply driving from the west side on I-90 and bringing it in, or they would have other people bring it in. Depends on how sophisticated the network was and how many people are involved. People would have runners go get it from whatever location the pickup was, or a runner would just bring it in from the location to Pullman. Could be multiple people doing it or a single person. If you are someone in Pullman being introduced to the product, the process can be pretty simple. You are referred to them or they go with you for the pickup, and it can be relatively smooth. Same thing with people do the substance in rooms. Usually a friend is introducing you to the person they know, so it goes over well. If people are introducing themselves in the Greek community within your house by members, this goes for sorority or fraternity. Same house or different house, if it is within the Greek community, the process is relatively smooth and relatively less intimidating. A lot of the time it would be a friend of a friend or someone who knows someone is how I would meet new people. They weren't completely random. Usually Greek life/Greek affiliated. At a certain point it becomes more repeat customers than new ones.
The connection between Greek life and dealers have become strong, and the police are struggling to find new ways to fight this.
Another barrier is the legalization of marijuana, and people sometimes don't make this connection.
Chief Brashear says when marijuana was illegal, officers could smell the marijuana, obtain a search warrant, and enter, and they'd often find other things.
Oftentimes we would find the burning marijuana in addition to cocaine, heroin, other party pills, fentanyl.
Brashear says since these arrests were usually young people, they'd give them an opportunity to come off scot-free as long as they worked for the drug task force. These students would get 3 buys, and then officers would go after their supplier.
That was a strategy, and it was very successful. And it can still work, but it is not the commonplace now because, for one, we don't have nearly the groundwork happening because marijuana is not illegal. We as law enforcement need to adapt and come up with some new ways to get into, to find the evidence and go forward. Something that would be helpful, and it's difficult in a tight-knit community like the Greek community in particular. Nobody wants to be a snitch.
With police lacking resources and easy access to cocaine through the Greek life community, it's unlikely this issue is going anywhere anytime soon. Reporting from Pullman, Cassidy Collins, Murrow, News 8.